Maya wiped her brow with a grease-stained rag, the fluorescent lights of the garage buzzing overhead. Her small repair shop, Maya's Motors, was more rust than reliable, but it was hers. Each dent and scratch in the aging walls told a story of late nights and stubborn engines. Tonight, the story was about closing time and an empty stomach. She sighed, glancing at the sputtering clock above the toolbox. Another day, barely making ends meet. Despite the constant struggle, Maya possessed a heart as big as the vintage cars she lovingly tried to keep running. She whistled a cheerful tune as she tidied up, a stark contrast to the worn surroundings. A half-finished engine sat patiently on a stand, waiting for parts she couldn't afford yet. A stack of bills threatened to topple from the corner of her desk, a constant reminder of her precarious financial situation. But even with the weight of the world on her shoulders, Maya held on to her optimism. She believed in hard work, honesty, and the power of a well-tuned engine. Her resourcefulness was legendary in the small town. She could fix anything with a bit of wire, duct tape, and sheer determination. People often underestimated her, seeing only a young woman in a greasy jumpsuit, but Maya had a knack for diagnosing problems others missed. She treated every car, every customer, with respect, no matter how big or small the job. As she swept the floor, a stray kitten darted from beneath a pile of tires, mewing plaintively. Maya chuckled, scooping up the tiny creature. "Hey there, little one," she murmured, stroking its soft fur. "Looks like you're having a rough night too." She poured some milk into a small dish and watched as the kitten eagerly lapped it up. This little act of kindness was typical of Maya. She always found a way to help those in need, even when she barely had enough for herself. It was this inherent goodness that defined her, a beacon of hope in a world that often felt cold and unforgiving. She put the kitten back in its makeshift bed under the workbench, a cozy spot amongst the tools. Time to lock up, she thought, and head home to a simple dinner. Little did she know, her quiet evening was about to take a dramatic turn. The metal door of Maya's Motors groaned as she pulled it shut, the sound swallowed by the sudden downpour. Rain lashed against the corrugated iron roof, drumming a frantic rhythm that echoed inside the empty garage. The wind howled, rattling the windows and whistling through the cracks in the walls. It was the kind of storm that made you want to curl up with a warm blanket and a cup of hot chocolate. Maya shivered, pulling her worn jacket tighter around her. The rain was coming down in sheets now, blurring the streetlights and turning the road into a shimmering river. She hurried to her own beat-up pickup truck, its paint faded and peeling, a testament to years of loyal service. The engine sputtered to life after a few tries, a familiar sound that always brought a small smile to her face. As she backed out of the driveway, the headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the alleyway beside the garage. That's when she heard it, a faint, muffled sob, almost lost in the roar of the storm. Maya slammed on the brakes, her heart pounding. She strained her ears, trying to pinpoint the source of the sound. Was it just the wind playing tricks, or was someone actually out there? Hesitantly, she switched off the engine and climbed out of the truck, grabbing a large wrench from the passenger seat, just in case. The rain instantly soaked her to the bone, plastering her hair to her face and chilling her to the core. She cautiously made her way towards the alley, the wrench held firmly in her hand. The alley was dark and narrow, filled with overflowing garbage bins and discarded car parts. The smell of wet asphalt and rotting refuse filled the air. As she moved deeper into the alley, the sobbing grew louder, more distinct. It was definitely a child, and they were clearly in distress. Maya's grip tightened on the wrench, her senses on high alert. She didn't know what she was walking into, but she knew she couldn't just leave a child out in this storm. She called out, her voice barely audible above the wind and rain, "Hello? Is anyone there? Are you okay?" The sobbing stopped abruptly, replaced by a frightened silence. The silence stretched, thick and heavy, punctuated only by the relentless drumming of the rain. Maya took another step forward, her boots splashing in the puddles. "It's okay," she said, her voice softer now, more reassuring. I'm not going to hurt you. I just want to help. A small figure emerged from behind a stack of old tires, huddled against the wall, trying to shield itself from the downpour. It was a little girl, no older than 8, her face pale and streaked with tears. Her clothes were soaked and muddy, and she was shivering uncontrollably. She clutched a small, bedraggled teddy bear to her chest. Maya knelt down, placing the wrench gently on the ground. "Hey there," she said, her voice gentle. "What's your name?" The little girl hesitated, her eyes wide and frightened. "Lily," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Hi, Lily," Maya replied, offering a small smile. "My name is Maya." "Are you lost, Lily?" Lily nodded, tears welling up in her eyes again. I don't know where my driver is," she stammered. "He was supposed to pick me up." Maya's heart went out to the little girl. Lost and alone in this terrible storm, she must be terrified. "It's okay, Lily," she said, reassuringly. "We'll find him. But first, let's get you out of this rain. You must be freezing." She reached out a hand, and Lily flinched, then slowly, tentatively, took it. Maya gently helped her to her feet. Lily was even smaller than she had imagined, her tiny frame trembling with cold. "Come on," Maya said, leading her towards the entrance of the alley. "Let's go back to the garage. It's warm and dry there. We can call your parents and let them know you're safe." Lily clung to Maya's hand, her small fingers gripping tightly. As they walked back towards the garage, the rain seemed to lessen slightly, as if even the storm was taking pity on the lost little girl. Maya knew that finding Lily's driver was the priority, but for now, all that mattered was getting her warm, dry, and safe. She could only imagine how scared Lily must be, and she was determined to do everything she could to help. The wrench lay forgotten in the alley. Back inside the garage, the warmth was a welcome contrast to the storm raging outside. Maya quickly closed the metal door, shutting out the wind and rain. The fluorescent lights hummed, casting a pale glow on the scene. Lily stood just inside the doorway, dripping puddles onto the concrete floor. She hugged her teddy bear tighter, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and relief. "Come on," Maya said, guiding her towards a small, rickety chair near the space heater. "Let's get you warmed up." She turned the heater on full blast, and a wave of warmth washed over them. Maya rummaged through a box of old clothes she kept in the corner, a collection of cast-offs and forgotten items. She found a large, faded t-shirt with a picture of a vintage car on it. "Here," she said, handing it to Lily. "This is way too big for you, but it's clean and dry. You can change in the bathroom." Lily took the shirt hesitantly, her fingers brushing against Maya's. "Thank you," she mumbled, her voice still trembling. "You're welcome," Maya replied, smiling reassuringly. "The bathroom is just over there." She pointed to a small door in the corner. "Take your time. I'll find you something warm to drink." While Lily changed, Maya busied herself preparing a mug of hot chocolate. She added extra marshmallows, knowing that a little sweetness could go a long way in comforting a child. As she stirred the hot chocolate, she couldn't help but wonder how Lily had ended up alone in the alley. Where were her parents? Why hadn't her driver picked her up? So many questions raced through her mind. Lily emerged from the bathroom a few minutes later, wearing the oversized t-shirt. It hung down to her knees, making her look even smaller and more vulnerable. Her wet hair was plastered to her face, and her eyes were still red and swollen from crying. But there was a flicker of warmth in her expression, a hint of trust. Maya handed her the mug of hot chocolate. "Here you go," she said. "Careful, it's hot." Lily took a tentative sip, her eyes widening in delight. "It's good," she said, a small smile finally gracing her lips. "I'm glad you like it," Maya replied, pulling up a stool beside her. "Now, tell me what happened, Lily. How did you get lost?" Lily took another sip of her hot chocolate, the warmth spreading through her small body. She looked around the garage, her eyes taking in the cluttered surroundings, the tools hanging on the wall, the engine parts scattered on the workbench, the posters of classic cars adorning the walls. It was a far cry from the pristine, orderly environment she was used to. "I was at my ballet class," she began, her voice still a little shaky. "My driver, Mr. Davis, always picks me up. But today, he wasn't there. I waited and waited, but he didn't come." Maya listened patiently, her heart aching for the little girl. "Did you try calling him, Lily?" Lily shook her head. "I don't have a phone," she said. "And the lady at the dance place said she couldn't find his number." "Okay," Maya said, thoughtfully. "Do you know your parents' phone number?" Lily hesitated, frowning. "I know my daddy's work number," she said. "But I don't know if he's there now. He's always very busy." "That's okay," Maya replied. "We can try his work number. Do you remember it?" Lily nodded, reciting the number slowly and carefully. Maya quickly dialed it on her old, cracked cell phone, holding her breath as she waited for an answer. The phone rang and rang, but no one picked up. "He's probably in a meeting," Lily said, her voice filled with disappointment. "Don't worry," Maya said, trying to sound optimistic. "We'll keep trying. In the meantime, can you tell me where you live, Lily? Maybe I can drive you home." Lily frowned again, struggling to remember. "It's a big house," she said. "With a long driveway. And a fountain in the front. And a really big gate." Maya nodded, trying to picture the house. "Do you know what street it's on?" Lily shook her head. "No," she said. "But it's not too far from the park. We drive past it sometimes." Maya sighed inwardly. A big house with a fountain and a gate could be anywhere in this town. It wasn't much to go on. But she wouldn't give up. She would keep trying until she found a way to get Lily home safely. The little girl was starting to relax, her initial fear slowly giving way to a sense of security. Maya knew she had to keep her calm and hopeful. The storm outside might be raging, but inside the garage, she would create a safe haven for Lily until they could find her way back home. Maya tried calling the police again, hoping the lines would be clearer now that some time had passed. The storm still raged outside, but the wind seemed to have died down a little. She dialed the number, her fingers crossed. After a few rings, a voice finally answered. "Police department, how can I help you?" Maya quickly explained the situation, telling the dispatcher about finding Lily alone in the alley and her inability to reach her parents. The dispatcher took down the details, promising to send an officer to the garage as soon as possible. However, she cautioned that they were dealing with multiple storm-related incidents and that it might take some time. Maya hung up the phone, feeling a mixture of relief and frustration. At least the police were aware of the situation, but waiting for them to arrive felt like an eternity. She turned back to Lily, who was quietly sipping her hot chocolate, her eyes fixed on the flickering flames of the space heater. "The police are coming, Lily," Maya said, trying to sound reassuring. "They're going to help us find your parents." Lily nodded, but her expression remained subdued. "My daddy is very important," she said softly. "He has lots of meetings and travels a lot. He doesn't always have time for me." Maya's heart ached for Lily. It was clear that the little girl missed her father, despite his busy schedule. She wondered what kind of man he was, this important father who didn't seem to have time for his daughter. "I'm sure he loves you very much, Lily," Maya said gently. "He's probably very worried about you right now." Lily looked up at Maya, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and doubt. "Do you think so?" she asked. Maya smiled warmly. "I know so," she replied. "Fathers always love their daughters, even when they're busy." To distract Lily from her worries, Maya decided to engage her in a game. She grabbed a pad of paper and a pencil from her desk. "How about we draw some pictures?" she suggested. "What's your favorite animal?" Lily's face lit up. "Unicorns," she exclaimed. "Unicorns it is," Maya said, laughing. And so, amidst the storm and the uncertainty, Maya and Lily spent the next hour drawing unicorns, their laughter filling the small garage, creating a moment of warmth and connection in the midst of chaos. The drawings, though simple and childlike, were a testament to the power of kindness and the resilience of the human spirit. Across town, in a sleek, modern office high above the city, Mr. Thompson paced anxiously, his phone pressed to his ear. Rain lashed against the panoramic windows, mirroring the turmoil in his heart. The office, usually a symbol of his success and power, now felt like a gilded cage. "Any news?" he barked into the phone, his voice tight with worry. "Nothing yet, sir," replied a voice on the other end. "The police are searching the area around the ballet school. We've also alerted all security personnel. We're checking traffic cameras, sir. We're doing everything we can." Mr. Thompson ran a hand through his already disheveled hair. "Everything isn't enough," he snapped. "My daughter is out there, alone, in this storm. I want every resource dedicated to finding her. Now." He slammed the phone down, his chest heaving. He couldn't believe this was happening. Lily, his precious Lily, was missing. The thought sent a jolt of fear through him, a fear more potent than any business deal gone wrong, any financial crisis he had ever faced. He glanced at a framed photo on his desk, a picture of him and Lily, taken last summer at the beach. Lily was beaming, her eyes sparkling with joy, her small hand clutching his tightly. The memory of that day, the simple happiness they shared, brought tears to his eyes. He had been so busy lately, consumed by work, by the demands of his company. He hadn't spent nearly enough time with Lily. He had promised her a trip to the zoo this weekend, a promise he was now terrified he wouldn't be able to keep. He picked up the phone again, his fingers trembling. He dialed a number, a direct line to the city's police chief. "I need more officers on this," he said, his voice low and urgent. "I need helicopters. I need everything you've got. My daughter is missing, and I want her found. Tonight." He knew he was using his influence, pulling strings, but he didn't care. Nothing mattered more than finding Lily. He ended the call and stared out at the rain-swept city, his heart filled with dread. He couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible had happened. He prayed that Lily was safe, that she was warm and dry, and that he would hold her in his arms again soon. He had to find her. He wouldn't rest until she was home. The power and wealth that defined him meant nothing in this moment. He was just a father, desperate to find his daughter. Mr. Thompson slumped into his leather chair, his gaze fixed on the city lights blurring through the rain-streaked window. He closed his eyes, and a montage of memories flooded his mind. Lily's first steps, her first words, her infectious laughter echoing through their home. He remembered teaching her to ride her bike, the scraped knees and the triumphant grin. He remembered reading her bedtime stories, making up silly voices for the characters, watching her drift off to sleep, her small hand nestled in his. He had always strived to provide Lily with the best of everything, the finest schools, the most beautiful clothes, the most extravagant toys. He wanted her to have a life filled with opportunities, a life free from the struggles he had faced growing up. But somewhere along the way, he had gotten lost in the pursuit of success, sacrificing time with Lily in the name of providing for her. He had convinced himself that his work was for her, that every deal he closed, every promotion he earned, was ultimately for her benefit. But now, staring into the abyss of his greatest fear, he realized that what Lily truly needed was not more things, but more of him. He recalled a recent conversation with Lily, a seemingly insignificant exchange that now echoed with profound regret. She had asked him to come to her school play, a small role, but one that meant the world to her. He had brushed her off, citing a crucial business meeting. Maybe next time, sweetie, he had said, his voice distracted. Daddy's very busy right now. The look of disappointment on her face had haunted him ever since. He had chosen a business meeting over his daughter, a fleeting opportunity over a precious memory. And now, he might never get the chance to make it up to her. He stood up abruptly, his determination renewed. He couldn't afford to dwell on his regrets. He had to focus on finding Lily. He grabbed his coat and headed for the door. I'm going out there, he said to his worried assistant, who was hovering nearby. I'm not waiting here. I'm going to find my daughter. He stepped out into the storm, the rain washing over him, a symbol of his renewed commitment to Lily. He was no longer a CEO, a businessman, a powerful figure. He was simply a father, driven by love and desperation, determined to bring his daughter home. The city seemed vast and unforgiving, but he would search every corner, every street, until he found her. He had to. His daughter's life depended on it. Back at Maya's Motors, the storm outside had begun to subside, the rain softening to a drizzle. The police officer that had been dispatched finally arrived, his uniform soaked despite his raincoat. He was a young man, barely older than Maya herself, with a kind face and weary eyes. Officer Miller, he said, flashing his badge. You reported a missing child? Maya nodded, relieved. Yes, she's inside. Her name is Lily. Her driver didn't pick her up from ballet, and she doesn't know how to get home. Officer Miller stepped inside the garage, his gaze sweeping over the cluttered space. He saw Lily sitting by the space heater, still clutching her teddy bear, her eyes red-rimmed but calm. Maya stood beside her, her hand resting gently on Lily's shoulder. Hi, Lily, Officer Miller said, approaching her cautiously. Are you okay? Lily nodded shyly. I'm okay, she whispered. Maya is helping me. Officer Miller turned to Maya, a grateful look in his eyes. Thank you for taking her in, he said. We've been searching for her for hours. Her father is frantic. I just did what anyone would do, Maya replied, shrugging modestly. She was lost and scared. I couldn't just leave her out in the storm. Officer Miller took out his notepad and began asking Lily questions, trying to gather more information about her home and family. But Lily's answers remained vague, her descriptions of her house and neighborhood lacking specific details. Meanwhile, Maya noticed the police radio crackling with activity. She overheard snippets of conversation about a citywide search, helicopters, and a wealthy CEO whose daughter was missing. A sudden realization dawned on her. Could Lily be the daughter of that CEO? It seemed almost too unbelievable. She glanced at Lily, who was now drawing another unicorn on the pad of paper. The little girl seemed so ordinary, so unassuming. It was hard to imagine her living in a mansion, with a father who commanded such power and influence. But the pieces were starting to fit together, the driver, the big house, the busy father. Maya decided to ask a direct question. Lily, she said gently, what does your daddy do for work? Lily looked up from her drawing, her brow furrowed in thought. He's very important, she said. He runs a big company. Everyone knows him. Maya's suspicions were confirmed. Lily was indeed the daughter of the CEO. But why hadn't she said anything? Why had she kept it a secret? And more importantly, what would happen when her father finally arrived? The thought of Mr. Thompson, the powerful CEO, descending upon her humble garage filled her with a sense of unease. Her quiet evening had taken a turn she never could have imagined. Officer Miller, after exhausting his questions, looked at Maya with a sigh. I'm not getting much from her, he admitted. She's still pretty shaken up. And her descriptions are so vague. Maya nodded, understanding. I know, she said. But I have an idea. The storm seems to be clearing up. Maybe if we drive around a little, she'll recognize something. A park, a store, anything that can help us pinpoint her location. Officer Miller hesitated. I don't know, he said. I'm supposed to stay with her until her father arrives. And frankly, I'm not sure how he'll react if he finds out we took her out for a drive without his permission. I understand, Maya said. But we can't just sit here and wait. Every minute counts. And if we can find her house, we can get her home safe and sound before her father even knows we left. Besides, she added with a wink, my truck isn't exactly equipped for a high-speed chase. We'll be back before you know it. Officer Miller chuckled, relenting. All right, he said. But stay close to the main roads. And call me if anything changes. Maya grinned. You got it, she said. She turned to Lily, who was watching them with wide eyes. How about a little adventure, Lily? She asked. We're going for a drive to see if you recognize anything. Does that sound fun? Lily's face lit up. Yes, she exclaimed. I want to go. Maya helped Lily into her truck, buckling her safely into the passenger seat. She grabbed a map from the glove compartment and spread it out on the dashboard. Okay, she said, starting the engine. Where do you want to go first? Lily pointed vaguely towards the east. That way, she said. I think we live that way. Maya shrugged and put the truck in gear. East it is, she said. As they drove away from the garage, the last rays of the setting sun peeked through the clouds, casting a golden glow on the streets. The air was fresh and clean, washed clean by the rain. It felt like a new beginning, a chance to finally solve the mystery of Lily's disappearance and reunite her with her family. Maya just hoped that Mr. Thompson would appreciate her efforts, and not be too angry that she had taken his daughter for a ride in her beat-up truck. The thought of facing the powerful CEO still made her a little nervous, but she pushed it aside. She had a mission to accomplish, and she wouldn't let anything stand in her way. Especially not a little rain, or a wealthy and influential father. She had Lily to think about, and that was all that mattered. They drove for what seemed like hours, winding through the quiet, residential streets. Lily pointed out a park, a bakery, and a pet store, but none of them seemed to trigger a strong memory. Maya was starting to lose hope. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea after all. Maybe they should just go back to the garage and wait for Mr. Thompson to arrive. As they rounded a bend in the road, Lily suddenly gasped. There, she exclaimed, pointing excitedly out the window. That's it. That's my house. Maya followed Lily's gaze and her jaw dropped. Perched atop a small hill, set back from the road by a long, winding driveway, stood a mansion that could only be described as palatial. It was a sprawling estate, with manicured lawns, towering trees, and a magnificent fountain sparkling in the twilight. The house itself was a masterpiece of architecture, with soaring columns, intricate stonework, and dozens of windows gleaming in the fading light. It looked like something out of a fairy tale, a world away from Maya's humble garage and her small, cramped apartment. That's your house? Maya asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Lily nodded eagerly. Yes. That's where I live. With my daddy. Maya slowly pulled the truck over to the side of the road, her mind reeling. She couldn't believe that Lily lived in such a place. It was beyond anything she had ever imagined. She had known that Lily's father was wealthy, but she hadn't realized just how wealthy. This wasn't just a big house, it was a symbol of unimaginable wealth and power. She stared at the mansion, trying to reconcile it with the image of the little girl she had found hiding in the alley, shivering in the rain. It was hard to believe that the two worlds could even coexist. Are you sure this is your house, Lily? Maya asked, her voice still filled with disbelief. Lily nodded emphatically. Yes. I'm sure. Can we go home now, Maya? Maya took a deep breath, trying to compose herself. Of course, Lily, she said, putting the truck back in gear. We're going home. As she drove towards the mansion, her heart pounded in her chest. She was about to enter a world she knew nothing about, a world of privilege and power. And she had a feeling that her life was about to change forever. The garage and the alleyway seemed a million miles away. As Maya's beat-up pickup truck approached the entrance to the estate, two imposing wrought iron gates loomed ahead, flanked by a security booth manned by two stern-faced guards in crisp uniforms. The gates were closed, a clear indication that this was a private and heavily guarded property. Maya slowed to a stop, her heart pounding in her chest. She felt completely out of place in her worn clothes and her battered vehicle. As the truck idled, one of the security guards approached, his expression unreadable. He peered into the cab, his eyes scanning Maya and Lily. Then, his eyes widened in recognition. "Lily," he exclaimed, his voice filled with relief. He immediately reached for his radio, speaking into it urgently. "We've found her. Lily is here. At the front gate. I repeat, Lily is here." The gate swung open silently, revealing a long, winding driveway leading up to the mansion. The guard waved Maya through, his face now etched with a warm smile. "Mr. Thompson has been worried sick," he said. "He'll be so relieved to see her." Maya drove slowly up the driveway, taking in the breathtaking scenery. The lawns were perfectly manicured, the flower beds bursting with color, and the trees were artfully arranged to create a sense of tranquility and beauty. She felt like she was driving through a movie set, a world of unimaginable wealth and privilege. As they neared the house, Maya could see a figure emerge from the front door. It was a tall, imposing man, his face etched with worry and exhaustion. He was dressed in an expensive suit, but his clothes were rumpled, as if he had been up all night. It was Mr. Thompson. He stood on the porch, his eyes fixed on the approaching truck. As he got closer, Maya could see the relief flooding his face, replacing the worry with an overwhelming sense of joy. He started to run towards the truck, his arms outstretched. Maya pulled the truck to a stop in front of the house, her hands trembling. She turned to Lily, who was beaming with happiness. "We're home, Lily," she said softly. "You're safe now." Lily unbuckled her seatbelt and practically leaped out of the truck, running towards the waiting figure of her father. "Daddy," she cried, her voice filled with joy. "Daddy, I'm here." Mr. Thompson scooped Lily up in his arms, holding her tightly, burying his face in her hair. He closed his eyes, as if savoring the moment, the feeling of having his daughter safe and sound in his arms once again. Maya watched the reunion, her heart filled with a mixture of relief and trepidation. She had done her job. She had brought Lily home. But now, she had to face Mr. Thompson, the powerful CEO, and explain how she had found his daughter, lost and alone, in a dark alley. She took a deep breath and prepared herself for the encounter. Her life was about to change forever. After showering Lily with hugs and kisses, Mr. Thompson finally turned his attention to Maya, who was standing awkwardly by her truck, feeling more out of place than ever. The joy on his face faded slightly, replaced by a look of polite curiosity. He hadn't really noticed her before, his focus solely on his daughter. His eyes scanned Maya from head to toe, taking in her grease-stained jeans, her oversized t-shirt, and her wind-blown hair. He then glanced at the beat-up pickup truck, its faded paint and dented fenders a stark contrast to the pristine luxury cars parked in the driveway. He raised an eyebrow slightly, a hint of puzzlement in his expression. I don't know how to thank you," he said, his voice still thick with emotion. "You saved my daughter. I can never repay you for that." He extended his hand, his grip firm and grateful. "I'm David Thompson." "Maya," she replied, shaking his hand. Her hand felt small and rough compared to his, but her gaze was steady and sincere. "Maya Rodriguez." Mr. Thompson studied her for a moment, his eyes searching hers. He saw a genuine kindness, a quiet strength, and a touch of humility. He was used to dealing with people who were impressed by his wealth and power, people who sought his favor and admiration. But Maya seemed different. She didn't seem to be seeking anything from him. She had simply done what she thought was right, without expecting anything in return. "Lily tells me you found her in an alley," he said, his voice laced with concern. "What happened? How did she get there?" Maya explained the events of the evening, from hearing Lily crying in the alley to bringing her back to her garage and trying to contact her parents. She recounted Lily's vague descriptions of her house and her inability to remember her address. She explained how she had convinced Officer Miller to let her take Lily for a drive, hoping she would recognize something. As she spoke, Mr. Thompson listened intently, his expression growing increasingly somber. He couldn't believe that his daughter had been alone and lost in such a dangerous place. He shuddered to think what might have happened if Maya hadn't found her. When Maya finished her story, Mr. Thompson let out a long sigh. "I owe you everything, Maya," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "You're a true hero. Please, come inside. Let me get you something to eat, something to drink. And let's talk about how I can possibly repay you for your kindness." He put his hand on Lily's shoulder, pulling her closer. "You saved my world," he whispered. Inside the mansion, Maya found herself even more overwhelmed. The opulence was breathtaking, gleaming marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and priceless works of art adorning the walls. She felt like she had stepped into a different world, a world she could never truly belong to. Mr. Thompson led her to a lavishly decorated living room, where a fire was crackling merrily in the fireplace. He gestured for her to sit on a plush velvet sofa, but Maya hesitated, feeling self-conscious about her dirty clothes. "Please," Mr. Thompson insisted, his voice warm and sincere. "Make yourself comfortable. You deserve it." Maya sat down gingerly, trying not to get any grease on the pristine fabric. Lily snuggled up beside her, her small hand reaching for Maya's. "Thank you for saving me, Maya," she said softly. "You're welcome, sweetie," Maya replied, squeezing her hand gently. Mr. Thompson sat down in a chair opposite them, his gaze fixed on Maya. "I want to give you a reward," he said. "Anything you want. Name it. A new car, a vacation, a college fund for your children." Maya's eyes widened in surprise. "Oh, no, I couldn't," she said, shaking her head. "I didn't do it for the money. I just did what anyone would do." "But you went above and beyond," Mr. Thompson insisted. "You risked your own safety to help my daughter. You deserve to be recognized for your bravery and kindness." "Really, Mr. Thompson, it's okay," Maya said, her voice firm. "I'm just glad Lily is safe. That's all that matters to me." Mr. Thompson studied her for a moment, his expression thoughtful. He could see that Maya was sincere. She truly didn't want anything in return. He was even more impressed by her humility and selflessness. "Well, I respect your wishes," he said. "But I can't just let you walk away without doing something. You've changed my life, Maya. You've reminded me of what's truly important. And I want to help you in some way, whether you like it or not." He paused, tapping his fingers on the armrest. "Tell me about yourself, Maya. What do you do? What are your dreams?" Maya hesitated, unsure of what to say. She wasn't used to talking about herself, especially not to someone like Mr. Thompson. But she sensed that he was genuinely interested, that he truly wanted to help. So, she took a deep breath and began to tell him about her life, about her struggles, and about her dreams for the future. She told him about Maya's motors, her passion for cars, and her determination to make a success of her small business, despite the odds. As she spoke, she could see the wheels turning in Mr. Thompson's mind. She had a feeling that he was about to offer her something that could change her life forever. As Maya spoke about Maya's motors, her passion shone through, despite the challenges she faced. She described the long hours, the constant struggle to make ends meet, and the frustration of not being able to afford the equipment she needed to grow her business. She spoke of her loyal customers, her love for fixing cars, and her dream of turning her small garage into a thriving auto repair shop. Mr. Thompson listened intently, his eyes fixed on Maya's face. He could see the dedication and determination in her eyes, the unwavering belief in herself and her abilities. He was impressed by her work ethic, her resourcefulness, and her commitment to her community. He realized that Maya wasn't just a mechanic, she was an entrepreneur, a hard worker, and a valuable asset to her town. "So, what's holding you back?" he asked, his voice thoughtful. "What do you need to make your dream a reality?" Maya hesitated for a moment, then decided to be honest. "Money," she said simply. "I need money to buy new equipment, to renovate the garage, and to hire some help. I'm barely scraping by as it is. I can't afford to take out a loan, and I don't have any family or friends who can help me." Mr. Thompson nodded slowly, his mind racing. He had made his fortune by investing in promising businesses and helping them to reach their full potential. He saw the same potential in Maya's motors. He believed that with the right resources and guidance, Maya could turn her small garage into a successful enterprise. "I have an idea," he said, his voice filled with excitement. "What if I invested in your business? What if I became your partner? I could provide the capital you need to expand and grow, and you could continue to do what you love, fixing cars and serving your community." Maya's eyes widened in disbelief. "You would do that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "You would invest in my little garage?" Mr. Thompson smiled warmly. "I would," he said. "I believe in you, Maya. I believe in your dream. And I think that together, we can make something truly special happen." He leaned forward, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "What do you say? Are you willing to take a chance?" Maya stared at him, her mind reeling. This was it. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for her entire life. A chance to escape her financial struggles, to realize her dreams, and to build a better future for herself. But it was also a huge risk. She would be partnering with a wealthy and powerful CEO, entering a world she knew nothing about. Could she handle it? Could she live up to his expectations? She took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew that she couldn't let this opportunity pass her by. She had to take a leap of faith, to trust in herself and in Mr. Thompson. "Yes," she said, her voice filled with determination. "I'm willing to take a chance. I'm willing to partner with you, Mr. Thompson. Let's do it." "Excellent!" Mr. Thompson exclaimed, clapping his hands together. "I'm so excited about this, Maya. I think this could be the start of something amazing." He stood up and began pacing the room, his mind already buzzing with ideas. "We'll need to draw up a partnership agreement, of course. And we'll need to assemble a team to help us with the renovations and the marketing. But first things first, we need to celebrate." He turned to Lily, who was still snuggled up beside Maya, listening intently to their conversation. "Lily, what do you say we order some pizza? And maybe some ice cream? To celebrate Maya becoming part of our family?" Lily clapped her hands with glee. "Yes. Pizza and ice cream. That sounds wonderful." Mr. Thompson smiled warmly. "All right then," he said, picking up the phone. "I'll call for the pizza. And Maya, you can tell me more about your garage. What kind of equipment do you need? What kind of renovations are you planning?" As Mr. Thompson made the phone call, Maya sat back on the sofa, a sense of disbelief washing over her. Just a few hours ago, she had been closing up her struggling garage, wondering how she was going to pay the bills. Now, she was sitting in a mansion, about to become partners with a wealthy and successful CEO. It was like something out of a movie, a dream come true. But amidst the excitement and the disbelief, Maya also felt a sense of responsibility. She knew that Mr. Thompson was taking a big chance on her, and she didn't want to let him down. She was determined to work hard, to learn everything she could, and to make Maya's Motors a success. As they ate pizza and ice cream, Mr. Thompson peppered Maya with questions about her business. He listened intently as she described her plans for the future, offering suggestions and advice based on his own experience. He was impressed by her knowledge of cars, her passion for her work, and her commitment to her customers. By the end of the evening, Maya felt like she had known Mr. Thompson for years. She realized that despite his wealth and power, he was a kind, generous, and down-to-earth person. She was grateful for the opportunity he was giving her, and she was excited to see what the future held. As she prepared to leave, Mr. Thompson walked her to the door. "Thank you again, Maya," he said, shaking her hand warmly. "You saved my daughter's life. And you've given me a new sense of purpose. I'm looking forward to working with you." "Thank you, Mr. Thompson," Maya replied, her voice filled with gratitude. "I'm looking forward to it too." As she drove away from the mansion. The city lights twinkled like stars, reflecting in the rain-slicked streets. But the world looked different now. The weight on her shoulders had lifted, replaced by a sense of hope and excitement. She knew that challenges lay ahead, that partnering with Mr. Thompson would be a learning experience, but she was ready. She was ready to embrace the opportunity, to work hard, and to prove herself worthy of his trust. She pulled into the driveway of her small apartment, the contrast between her humble dwelling and Mr. Thompson's mansion even more stark now. She smiled to herself, shaking her head in disbelief. What a night it had been. Finding Lily, facing Mr. Thompson, and now, embarking on a new chapter in her life. She climbed out of her truck and stretched, the cool night air invigorating her. She glanced up at the sky, where the clouds had finally parted, revealing a sliver of moon. She took a deep breath, feeling a sense of gratitude wash over her. She was grateful for Lily, for Mr. Thompson, and for the unexpected turn that her life had taken. The next morning, Maya woke up early, eager to start her day. She drove to Maya's Motors, her heart filled with anticipation. As she unlocked the door and stepped inside, she saw the garage with new eyes. It was still run down and cluttered, but now, she saw its potential. She saw the possibilities, the opportunities for growth and improvement. She spent the morning cleaning the garage, organizing the tools, and making a list of everything she needed to do to get started. She called her loyal customers, letting them know that she was still open for business and that exciting changes were on the way. She could sense their excitement and support, their belief in her and her abilities. In the afternoon, Mr. Thompson arrived at the garage, accompanied by a team of architects, contractors, and designers. They spent hours brainstorming ideas and drawing up plans for the renovation. Mr. Thompson, surprisingly, wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty, helping Maya clean and organize the garage, sharing stories and jokes, and treating her with respect and genuine warmth. Weeks turned into months, and Maya's Motors underwent a remarkable transformation. The garage was renovated from top to bottom, with new equipment, a fresh coat of paint, and a modern design. Mr. Thompson's business expertise proved invaluable, helping Maya to streamline her operations, improve her marketing, and expand her customer base. But more importantly, Maya and Mr. Thompson formed an unlikely friendship, bonded by their shared commitment to Maya's Motors and their mutual respect for each other. They learned from each other, challenged each other, and supported each other through thick and thin. Mr. Thompson learned about the importance of humility, the value of hard work, and the power of genuine connection. Maya learned about business strategy, financial management, and the importance of taking risks. Lily also played a connecting role, often visiting the garage after school, helping Maya with small tasks, and bringing laughter and joy to the workplace. She became like a little sister to Maya, and Maya became like a second mother to her. 1 year later, Maya's Motors held a grand reopening celebration. The garage was packed with